What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to episode number 260 of the VK Bros with Jason and Alex Von Cannell. We're coming at you on Saturday morning, so we are the closest to the release date that we normally record. So hopefully the majority of the information we discuss on the show will actually be relevant by the time this drops on Monday. How are you going this week, Alex?
Well, good, but I don't want to really talk about the upcoming news, which we will talk about. But I don't want to start the show with that.
Cool. Let's just go.
I'm worried about the youth.
All right, okay.
I'm worried about the youth of Australia. I had a conversation yesterday, and we've had similar conversations on this show before, and I've had similar conversations with youths before about this particular subject. Mm-hmm. But now I'm looking at it at a different way. So, went to the gym yesterday, a couple of boys stayed back, we had a couple of beers after.
How old are these people, just for context?
20s, mid-20s.
Right.
Okay? And the subject of speed cameras came up. Mm-hmm. Forget how it came up, but essentially it was like I got the chance to sort of tell people, or at least to reframe what the world looks like, looking at it from a different angle. Mm-hmm. And we all agreed that they don't really work, but they don't want to do anything about it. They want to make sure, like, they do think speed is a killer.
It depends on the definition of work. They don't work for the sales pitch that we receive to justify their usage. They do work to create revenue streams for the government.
So it's so interesting you say that, because it's all about definitions. And this is what the real problem was in this conversation.
It's the problem in every conversation these days.
Yeah. And maybe I need to start pre-qualifying all these conversations with, let's agree on what the definition of success was. So my argument has been the whole time that speed cameras, and I feel very passionate about this. I have a driving program that I started like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That still operates today to take kids in grade 12 and even homeschool kids to do performance driving classes.
Yep.
And it's subsidized by businesses who donate money.
Yeah.
And it works, and
it's a great program. The only kid in my friendship circle who didn't do it was because he was a year too young, and he crashed 3 of his mum's cars.
Yeah, right.
It's a really good program.
It's amazing how skills seem to be, we never talk about the skill set of the driver.
That's right.
Actually, I know how it started. Okay, so my argument was, and I like to challenge people in these scenarios, and I like people to think outside the square. Mm-hmm. I was like, let's discuss why 0.05 blood alcohol level is not the superior way of getting the desired result. And everyone's like, nah, you have to have a line, like, okay, but what if me at 0.05 is what is been decided to be the level of alcohol which inhibits your driving ability, right? But what if it doesn't? And so what if me at 0.08 is a better driver than someone on 0.00, and yet I could get a ticket and that person doesn't?
Can we also make the point that 0.05 is the blood alcohol level which the government has decided inhibits Australians' ability to drive, because Correct. It is not the same level as other countries. Some countries are 0.08.
And some countries use like aptitude testing.
Yeah, sobriety testing.
Sobriety tests. So, but I guess, and we have spoken about this on a previous show, so I won't go too hard into it. But that was another example of, like, you guys are only thinking about what you've seen and you've witnessed to be true in the frame of an Australian in Australia.
Yeah.
You've never bothered to even think that other people, civilized societies, do things in different ways.
Correct.
And all I'm saying is, why can't we start cherry picking the best of the best of the best of whatever the world has to offer? Or even if they haven't thought of these solutions yet, let's introduce new and smart ways to do things, as opposed to just sitting in the status quo.
Yeah, well, and our status quo is running our society based on the lowest common denominator.
Yeah. So let's go to speed cameras again. So speed cameras, the revenue is raising every year, like the numbers going up. And we're talking machines, and I want people to be angry about this. There are individual cameras that are making over $50 million a year in revenue.
Yep.
Is it about safety?
No, of course not.
Right? So
because has the road toll decreased?
No, it's gone up.
It's gone up. That's right.
It's gone up. Car technology has gone up. So why is it that car manufacturers are having to throw millions and millions of dollars into development, and in return we're getting lowered speed limits? Now, this is some of the examples I tried to throw out because these guys just couldn't get off it. No, you have to have, like, speed is a killer. Speed is a killer. Speed is a killer.
Okay, so where do you draw the line?
Well, hold on. Let me get to the examples I gave. Italy has the exact same death rate per kilometre travelled that we do. So that's a pretty good metric to use, right? So for every kilometre travelled, the exact same death rate that we do, yet their state limit is 40 kilometres an hour higher than ours, and all their normal rates are 10 to 20 kilometres higher than ours. And if you've ever driven over there, there is no respect for speed limits.
No.
When I was doing 140 on the highway there, doing the right, in quotes, doing the right thing, and I was getting passed on each side like I was standing still. That just doesn't happen here. We don't have that culture here.
Yep.
But their death rate is exactly the same as ours. And then they go, oh, but it's the road quality. I'll give you the tip. Roman roads suck.
Yeah.
They're 2,000 years old, right? And Italians have, like, much more challenging road conditions because they've got crazy winters, snow. We don't have that.
Ice.
Ice. They've got Alps that you have to drive, like proper mountains. We barely have mountains like they do. They also had a higher alcohol limit than ours too. I think it's recently been brought back down, but they had a higher blood alcohol limit. So, like, there is an example right there of where that just doesn't hold up. That speed is the killer. It's clearly not, because they can drive faster and they're getting the same result.
But it's snappy marketing. Every K over is a killer. Snappy marketing.
So, yeah, okay, so that's what I want people to see. You are, and I would say, okay, give me an example. The other example I gave was the Northern Territory. It used to be an open speed limit.
Yep.
Then they put a speed limit in. People started dying. They removed it, and now it's back open again. And he's like, well, you're just picking things to make your argument better. I'm like, yes. You do the same now.
That's right.
So you give me an example, and he goes, oh, well, speed's definitely a factor. I'm like, how? How can you tell? Oh, well, they investigate every crash. They don't.
No, they don't.
Like, they don't. And, like, how would you know? So if you rock up to a crash site, how do you know that speed was a factor? So there's a dead guy, single vehicle accident, dead guy in the car. How do you know? Like, you don't. And nor do I think they have to go and investigate, unless they think something untoward was done, right? There's probably no point to throw the resources at it.
Yep.
But the big lesson that I got out of it is, like, let's extrapolate this over time. Are cars getting safer? Yes. Are roads, is the mortality rate getting better or worse? Worse. Is the speed limits are they going up or down? Down. Are the enforcement, these photograph enforcements, not real enforcement, are they going up or down? Up. Okay, so let's extrapolate over time. What does that look like in 10 years' time? Speed limit's going to go up or down?
Down.
Well, down. Speed cameras are going to be more or less frequent?
More.
Are fines going to go up or down?
Up.
Is that a better or worse society?
Way worse.
So I said to you guys, be angry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm older than you. I've got less of this to worry about. You guys have to live in it. And you guys can't even understand why you're defending it. Yeah. I said, are you guys feds? I joked. I'm like, are you guys feds? You are defending a system you haven't even thought about, but you're defending it. You don't even know. Well, you've got shitty arguments for it.
Yep.
But you don't realize that you're defending a system designed to get you.
Yeah.
And you're being tricked into a narrative of protection. Now, it's very similar to the attitudes towards government. They, again, because I was talking to a friend yesterday who's my age, who's looking at it like a career change. And I was saying, look, there's some economic headwinds coming. It's coming our way, right? We're in the boiling pot, okay? Some of us can see it because some of us are looking. but 90% of the population walking around have no idea what is about to hit them.
Yeah.
And it's slowly happening.
We got a big story that we'll go through a little bit later on, which will detail a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. But examples like road enforcement are a perfect example. So when they said to me, well, what do you think should happen? I said, those vans that are on the side of the road should be cars or bikes, police bikes. And if you're doing something that's crazy, you should be pulled over and stopped.
Correct.
Because I do believe that dangerous driving is dangerous.
Yep.
And therefore, sending a dangerous driver a bill in the mail 2 weeks later is not for safety.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly not for safety. It is clearly for revenue raising. Where is the incentive? The incentive is not to stop the person. That's why they hide them, right? It's to generate revenue.
Correct.
And you can tell this because the revenue keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
Yep.
And they don't care what the result is,
That's
right?
right.
They're using the result of their inaction to create more enforcement action to essentially tax us more.
Correct.
And even one of the guys said, one of the young guys capitulated in a way by saying, $1,000 for talking on your phone. That's bullshit. I'm like, yeah, it is bullshit.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
It's all bullshit.
Yep.
I said, you cite examples of like DUI drivers can get work licenses. Speed drivers can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how's that? What would you rather have someone speeding or would you rather have someone inebriated? Like, there's just no logic. But no one is thinking logically about these things because I still think they're so locked into the fact that governments must be doing it the right thing.
Yeah, the government is their safety blankie. They like their blankie.
They must be doing it right.
Okay, so the next...
But if you objectively look at all these things, it objectively is completely upside down.
Okay, so the next question that you have to ask is, okay, let's say that on the speed camera front, the government is purely doing this out of the goodness of their heart and for your personal safety. They do it because they care about you. Are the government's decisions consistent across the board when it comes to matters of your own personal health or safety? I would argue that they're not. So if the government claims, as they do, that every K-over is a killer, and that's why they have speed cameras everywhere, and like you said, hidden in bushes to send you an expensive photograph in the mail 2 or 3 weeks later, if that is for your safety, so why haven't they banned cigarettes? So everyone knows that cigarettes are bad for you and cause cancer. Everybody knows that, but they have not banned them. Now, could that have something to do with the fact that 78% of every cigarette you buy is tax?
Well, not anymore because everyone's buying the black market ones,
which now they're looking at changing laws to massively crack down on. Did you see that? That came out like this week. Of course. Because again, the government is a criminal cartel that is missing their cut. And they're planning on coming to get it. So this is the thing, right? So you cannot claim that the government does everything in its power to keep you safe when it is completely inconsistent across the board and often forces you to do things which are unsafe, i.e., it forced you to take the COVID vaccines. Oh, my camera's just dropped out again.
So keep going whilst...
Isn't it funny how whenever we start speaking ill of the government, the camera's issues start happening?
Yeah. Thanks, Palantir.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm going back to that.
I'm glad that we spent all that money on a new computer for you, Jason.
Yeah, no, it's wild. It's the dumbest thing ever. I just can't figure it out. But yeah, so the government's clearly not consistent. Like, I mean, if the government was consistent on doing things that made you healthier and safer and happier, etc., they would be doing things like, how about look at the we're in a cost of living crisis. Do you think that people are doing better health and like mental health outcomes now than they would be if it didn't cost them 60% of their income just to have a roof over their head? Probably not. But what are they doing to try to lower your housing costs? Literally nothing. That both sides of the major parties have literally stated that they do not want housing prices to decrease. Like, that is not for your safety. That is for money. And
for a GDP number.
Yeah, it's GDP. It's stamp duty because when the properties are more expensive, they get more stamp duty every time you sell it. Like, this is money. This is not health, safety, whatever. The government doesn't care about you. And until, like, I'm glad you brought this up because this is a mental reframing that young people need to go through, and they need to understand, guys. Like, if any of you are listening to the show, for a start, congratulations to you, because you're probably hearing a lot of things that you don't really want to hear. And guess what? That's good for you. Like,
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, like I'm a parent now, right? And I talk to my son, who's 5, every day, because now he's old enough to comprehend a lot of these things. And I tell him all the time, son, I'm not letting you do that. And it's not because I hate you. I'm not letting you do it because I love you. And one day you'll understand. And for you young people, one day you'll understand too. We were the same as you back in the day, right? We were young.
Yeah.
We had the same indoctrination into things as you guys did, although yours is probably worse these days than what ours was.
Because we didn't push up against algorithms.
Yep. But we've gone through life experiences which teach you that things aren't as you think they are right now. And it's not hard to see that in so many aspects of our lives, the government is not operating with your best interests in mind. So this is like consider the government like you would consider a friend. If someone put this, might have been Dave Smith was saying this the other day about Israel, like America's relationship with Israel, but it's very similar to like our relationship with our government. So Dave Smith was arguing that America should essentially break up with Israel. And the way he put it was, like, okay, America and Israel are really good friends, but imagine that you've got a really good friend, and every time that you go out to the pub, that friend tries to get you into a fight. Every single time. So, like, you'll go out and you'll be drinking at the bar, and that friend goes and grabs the closest big dude and punches him in the face and gets you involved in this conflict. And it happens every single time. Now, that friend might be an absolute laugh and a great guy to have around most of the time, but at some point in your life, you're going to have to go, you know what, I need to cut ties with that dude. He's toxic, and he's causing me way more harm than good. And as you age and as you get older and as you have more experiences, and generally it starts to happen when things change in your life that all of a sudden give you more responsibility. So that can be around getting a high-level job, starting your own business, getting married and having children. Like when all of a sudden when the stakes get higher, you start realizing how much it's stacked against you. Like the government, the system, the way that it's built is stacked against you just trying to live your best life with your family, doing the things that you want to do.
But I can even give you like, this is where go to first principles thinking.
Yeah.
So whenever you're assessing this stuff, like for example,
can you explain what first principles thinking is? Because I don't think that it's a concept that most young people are even aware of.
Let me get an actual definition of it so I don't mash it up.
Yeah.
Because this is a great way to... I'll pull this up. First principle thinking is a method of reasoning that involves breaking down complex problems into their most basic and fundamental truths, then reconstructing solutions from those fundamental elements. It encourages questioning assumptions and focusing on what is known to be true rather than relying on analogies or conventional wisdom. This approach is often used to foster innovation, creative problem solving by starting from the ground up. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a great example of this is when the left's talking about finances, or where's my handout, where's my stimulus, where's my this. First principles thinking will say, go and read the most basic book on economics. You don't even need to read a book. Read a partial dissertation of what an economy should look like, and it would tell you that doesn't work. That's first principles thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay. The other thing too is a bit like what I did in the example of the road traffic stuff. If you were to plot it on a graph, okay, and predict the future, what does that look like? Yeah. It's only going one way. Same as like the economy, right? If you plot all the data points on the economy, okay, it's only going one way, and you can predict what the future of that looks like because all the data's there.
Correct.
First principles.
It was first principles thinking which allowed us to be ahead of the curve during COVID. It's first principles thinking which allowed particularly Alex to be ahead of the curve on Bitcoin. Because, again, those are two real big subjects which your conditioning told you to go along with the narrative, to go along with it. But if you actually applied first principles thinking to it, it didn't make any sense at all. And if you went against the narrative, you've done really well in both scenarios.
I heard a term put very interestingly. She said that these people, she calls them Agent Smiths. Mm. And
Like
I
the
think
NPCs.
Well, no. So NPCs they don't even know that they're doing it.
Yeah.
But Agent Smiths are literally fighting for the Matrix.
Yeah, to enforce the rules of the Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what was happening last night. And the, I'm like, what I wanted you to realize is you don't even know why you're defending it, and that's what I want you to highlight. You're defending a system that's designed to fuck you,
Yep.
and you can't even tell me why.
Yeah.
Right?
Can I give you another example of this? Because it's relevant
please.
in our country and it's relevant in like the United States. One of the things I love hearing so much is when the subject of immigration comes up, and particularly illegal immigration in the United States, but also immigration here in Australia, because we're experiencing similar problems. And the retort from, and it's usually from like whether it's politicians or like the elite, is, well, who's going to pick the crops? Or who's going to wash your dishes?
Who's going to build the houses?
That's right. Who's going to build the houses if the immigrants aren't here? And the problem is, if you are a pre-programmed Agent Smith below the age of 25, you hear that message and you go, yeah, we need these people. Immigrants are so valuable to our society because of all of these valuable services that they offer that people over here just are not willing to do. Where would we be without them? But if you apply first principles thinking to it, what it really says is, we can exploit immigrants for cheap labor that we can't trick you motherfuckers into doing for that price.
Yeah.
That's what it's really all about. Guess what? If we had no immigration, like no immigrants tomorrow, and we deported every single immigrant in this country, the fruit and vegetables would still get picked. The houses would still get built. The difference would be you would have to actually pay someone what that job is worth to do, rather than exploit someone who, like, we're just lucky enough that they come from a shittier part of the planet so that they will accept a lower standard of living than you will.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole web of craziness.
Totally.
In regards to the and we'll come to that. We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
But the highlight, the higher level thought that I want people to have is, have you questioned your beliefs? Yeah. Are they beliefs or are they facts based in reality?
Yeah. Is this a fact or is this ideology?
Yeah, and I'll give you the red hot tip, because I know this to be true. Speed cameras are not helping.
Yeah.
And they are making probably billions of dollars a year.
Can I give you another one?
Therefore, it's tax, not safety.
Yep. Slip, slop, slap.
Oh, yeah.
So, for all of you, especially Australians, because we have a primarily Australian audience, the slip, slop, slap and message has been really rammed home since the 90s. Like, we grew up with it in Australia, and it's all about putting on sunscreen, putting on clothes when you're outside, basically trying to avoid the sun because of melanoma rates. Go and look up what melanoma rates have done over the last 30 years. They have increased since the slip, slop, slap messaging has come out. And you would think, like what Alex is saying, with first principles thinking, you would go, all right, we've identified a problem, which is melanoma rates. We have applied a solution to it. Has the solution worked, yes or no? Well, the answer is no, because melanoma rates have increased during that period of time. So instead of going back and looking at it and go, maybe some of these solutions are actually causing more problems than we thought, our government's response is, let's do more of it. We need to do more of this thing that's not working.
Do you know, it's funny you say that, because I was only just looking at it last week because of did we have the protein talk?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So I was like trying to find other things. So the slip, slop, slap thing is still kind of there. They're free frame. It's not called that anymore. It was very selectively worded. And what surprises me is that, so it still says basically avoid the sun.
Yeah.
Now, with all the latest science that's coming out now, we know for mitochondrial health, we know for like cortisol levels, we know
hormone
for hormone health,
strong bones,
eyes, like everything is saying you should be getting sun on your skin,
Yep.
in your eyes, at least for the first half an hour of every day. You do need vitamin D levels, like especially during COVID.
Yep.
Think about that. There was a direct correlation between vitamin D, lack of vitamin D,
Yep.
and COVID cases.
Yep. Well, bad outcomes from COVID.
Yep. And the government said, stay inside.
Correct.
Don't go outside. And the famous picture of the guy that was on the beach, who the police came up to, and he had to turn over to do push-ups to act like he was working out.
Yep.
He was actually doing the best thing for COVID. The government was trying to fine him for getting vitamin D.
Correct.
Okay? So think about how crazy that is.
Can we just analyse that just briefly? Because obviously COVID's a subject we've discussed many times on the show, so we inherently understand it. Remember, the government advice that you received was stay inside. You're only allowed out for 1 hour a day to exercise. So basically we're saying don't exercise too much.
Yep.
Wear a mask at all times.
Yep.
Apart from when you sat down at a restaurant, because remember COVID, right?
Goes up your head.
Get vaccinated as soon as you could. Stay away from people. So don't go and see your loved ones. Don't, when Granny's in the nursing home, for her safety, don't let her see her grandchildren, because that'll help prolong her quality of life. Like literally everything the government told you to do during COVID, if you did the opposite of it, you would have had better outcomes. So
that hit me really hard. You said that to me a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, holy shit. I know that we were bashing literally every part of it as it was happening, but then when you batch it all together and go, oh, literally
it's everything.
Opposite. It's everything. Every aspect of it.
Everything. And again, not only everything that they told you to do, but everything they did. Like, all the inflation that we're dealing with now is because they shut the economy down and they printed money and handed it out to people. That's where the devaluation of the dollar has come from. So,
really? For
all of you young people, right, 25 and younger, for all of you who are going, I'm never going to own a house, woe is me. Guess what, guys? The house prices went up by 100% over a 5-year period because we almost doubled the monetary supply. That's what happened. So for all of you who are sitting at home going, where's my government handout because I need it to assist with cost of living right now, what you need to understand is every time the government hands out $1, it makes inflation worse. It is a ruse. It is buying your support with your future. That's what it's doing.
That's why you've got to go to first principles. Go read read the back of the Idiot's Guide to Economics, and you'll see that. So another thing that came up that I want to address too, because I've heard this throughout my whole life. I'm a driving enthusiast.
Yep.
Guess what the question was asked of me in that environment to rate whether I was a good driver or not? What do you think was said?
How many accidents have you had?
Bingo.
Okay.
And the answer was 2. And he's like, well, I've had none. And I said, okay, you're a better driver than me. And he goes, no, because I've actually essentially given him a lesson before. Right? And he's like, well, that's the metric we have to use. I said, okay.
Why do we have to use that?
What
about a driving test?
What formula racing series is there where the reward is if you didn't tap, you win the championship?
Yeah. I've seen Lewis Hamilton have accidents. Is he a worse driver than me?
Yeah, is a surgeon that has never killed anyone the best surgeon, but the surgeon next to him that takes on the hardest task ever and has some deaths? Which one's better?
Yeah.
But I've heard that my whole life is the accident thing. I said, what about the person that's caused the accident? They're doing 80 k's an hour in the fast lane, but they never saw the accident.
That's right.
So are they in your world? That person's the best driver.
Yeah, or the person who runs the red light, causing someone to slam on the brakes, who then causes a rear-end collision.
Totally.
And they get through unscathed. Are they a better driver than the person who broke to not cause an even worse accident?
But when I cited those examples, his face just went blank. He couldn't... There was no rebuttal to that.
Because he'd never thought about it.
He never thought about it. But that's what I'm talking about, is like, you have these feelings about things. That is ideology.
Yep.
It's religion. It's programming.
Yep.
That's not real.
Yeah.
So let's start living in reality. And these things aren't going to be as much of a problem for me and you as what it will be for them.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, guys, get angry. Get angry and direct your anger, but direct your anger for the things that are real. That's right. Not the things that are fake.
Correct. And they're creating fake things for you to get angry at every single day. So I saw an interesting graphic about this. It was a meme, and I probably should have shared it, but I didn't, because I'm just sharing a lot of political stuff at the moment. But it was a meme that showed the Occupy Wall Street protests that happened in the United States in, was it 2011, 2012? Went roughly, and because that came directly off the back of the global financial crisis. So for those, again, young people who didn't know, giant banks around the world, but particularly in the United States, caused a global financial crisis because they broke the laws, which are supposed to be the safety net that you guys keep clinging to. They broke the laws to lend money to people who couldn't afford to pay it back. Then they illegally bundled those loans up and then sold them up to other financial institutions pretending they were AAA rated when they were full of junk, right? And then it caused a global implosion of the financial markets, which destroyed retirement incomes of people who worked their whole lives and put all that money into their superannuation or their retirement fund, and all that money was gone. No banker went to jail. All the banks got bailed out using your money, taxpayer dollars. So the ones who caused the problem, nothing bad happened to them, and they got bailed out with your money, and you've been paying for it ever since.
Well, so not only have you been paying for it ever since, this is the part that no one it really hits home. Real wage growth has not happened.
No.
So what you and if you're new to the industry, you don't know this. You don't know that this has happened, but I've been in the workforce for 21 years now, and ever since I think the number's 2014 or 2015, there's been no wage growth in Australia.
Correct.
Probably in the West.
Probably in the West.
So essentially, and you're like, we sound like the rich boomers because we can say, oh, we did, I bought a house when I was 21 and this and this and this. Like, yeah, because they robbed you.
That's right.
Like, they're robbing you. Get angry.
Yeah.
Now, don't blame billionaires. The billionaires, they're doing whatever they can to be billionaires. But the governments are the ones that make the rules.
They facilitate.
The governments are the ones that are printing the money, and they're the ones that you can vote. You can vote against billionaires by not buying their products.
Correct.
Typically, the people that hate the billionaires the most are rocking the most billionaire stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They love... I find it hilarious. The poorest people I know have the latest phones.
Yeah.
All Apple. Apple's got $3 trillion in the bank, by the way.
Yeah. But I just want to get back to that point, though, because since Occupy Wall Street happened, the next part of the meme showed, because obviously that was the people rioting against Wall Street who caused the problem. And they used to use the tagline, "We are the 99%." Right? So it was literally saying... why are we scared of these people? We outnumber them 99-1. Fuck these people. Right? We're going to take this over. But then something else happened. And there was a graph showing the number of articles using the word racism in the Wall Street Journal since 2012. And the graph went exponentially to the moon. So in other words... everyone was right to be angry at the elite banking class for destroying their finances and their financial futures during the GFC. Everyone was correct to hate that. But the bankers were smart and thought, let's give them something else to be angry at. That's when they started talking about racism. So if you go back to like the 90s and even the early 2000s, racism wasn't a big thing. Like, it wasn't a big thing when we grew up. It wasn't a big thing even in the United States in that period of time. Like, there was a lot of cohesiveness between the cultures during those times. But the Wall Street Journal started talking about racism constantly in 2012. And now, 15 years later, we're still talking about it now like it's this huge issue. But it's because it's been put out there into the public zeitgeist, so you'll focus on racism instead of focusing on the fact that the banks fucked you with the government's help and nothing has changed in that system. And because we're going to go through some stats in a moment, but I was talking to Alex about this during the week. So one of the data points which I have been keeping an eye on, which shows that we've got some financial headwinds coming our way, some economical headwinds coming our way, is banks are constantly now stripping away at their own regulations that they brought in after the Banking Royal Commission in 2015. They are literally making it easier for people to borrow money again because they've realized our economy is fucked because people can't afford to buy anything anymore. So if people can't afford to buy anything through finance, we as banks can't make any more money. So an example I saw like 3 days ago, National Australia Bank has just changed their policies. So when you do a finance application, you have to put on all of your assets and all of your liabilities. And a liability that you've always had to put on your applications if you've got any student debt, like a HEX debt or a help loan. Now they've said, if you've got less than $20,000 in a HEX debt, we no longer have to put that in your assessment. So they're literally they've realized there's not enough people who can actually on paper borrow money now, so we have to make it easier.
Now, let me paint you a picture. Let's jump in a time machine and we'll go back to the year 2007, where a young, pimply-faced Alex Von Cannell was looking to buy his first property. Times were going great. Car sales was awesome. People could finance literally anything.
Yep.
My friend in America was saying that financiers were door knocking and saying, what do you want to buy? They're writing loans like right at your doorstep. You didn't even have to sit down. You just got money for nothing.
Yep.
Times were great. I'm ringing real estates. I'm ringing 6 real estate offices every day on my drive home from work. The price is literally flitting, like the price is exponentially going up. I'm stressing because I can't chase the price. I go to buy a unit on Monaco Street in Surfers Paradise. I go to the open home on a Saturday. It's crawling with people. The real estate agent has just left contracts, blank contracts, on the table. You just put your offer on it, signed it, bought it, basically, essentially with a 5-minute viewing of it. No, you know.
Yep.
And I'm missing out. So I finally get this property. I go from being able to afford, this would have been in 8 months, right? In 8 months, I could have bought a 4-bedroom, 2-story house with a pool in Runaway Bay for $340.
Holy shit.
I end up buying a 3-bedroom duplex half in Labrador for $330.
Yeah,
okay?
Now that 340 place in Runway Bay is probably worth $1.5 million now as well.
Oh,
probably more.
Maybe more. This is how much it was getting away from me. But at the time, the same thing was happening. They were realizing, people can't afford. They changed the definition of financial hardship.
Yeah.
So it used to be like if 30% of your total income went to housing and lodging, you were in financial hardship. Yep. They just moved that bump that up to 50%. Dude, mine was 70%. I was paying 9.89%. 70% of my wage was getting piled into paying off this house. Okay. Then they realized it was starting to slow because people, couldn't afford these things. So they changed. I got a 3%. I only needed to front a 3% deposit to get mine. They were doing 0% deposits. In England at the time, they offered a negative 5% deposit, which means they would fund. You came up with nothing. They would fund the house and all the stick-ons and your stamp duty and your blah, blah, blah. There was a comedian that did this bit about it in 2008 talking about, you've just settled your property and you're out the front having a cigarette to congratulate yourself, and the guy walking his dog past your house owns more of your house than you do. Yeah. Right? We're doing that again now. Yep. This is happening right now because the steam has run out. The real world money has run out from COVID. COVID was a completely different kettle of fish. It was like an unforeseen, very extreme economic case. Yeah. And that's why it's a little bit distorted. It's not exactly like the 2008 crisis.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
But the steam is running out. The people are running out of money to do it. And therefore, best way is just change the legislation to make it easier for you to hoodwink someone into buying.
Yeah, and look at everything that the government has done in regards to housing. So to try to sell it to you young people that they're trying to help you, the government's going out with policies like, oh, we'll front up 40% of the cost of the house so that you can get yourself into a house ASAP at these over-the-top prices, and you can just go into it in cahoots with us, and we'll own 40% of your house.
That's, okay, let's go to first principles. How crazy a concept is that instead of making the price go down, which you can do with supply and demand, you can increase supply, you can lower demand.
Yep.
We may as well tip into this subject now.
Mm-hmm.
Immigration. Okay. Now, Jason said before, who's going to build the houses? And like I've said before, for every one builder that you bring in, he needs to build, like, where's he going to live while he's building these houses? Okay. How's this stat? This stat came from the...
Did you say house, this stat?
You can.
Hashtag jokes.
So this is from the National Housing Supply Council, right? So the government uses these guys to help provide data. If you reduced immigration by 15%, 15%, over 5 years, you would go from having a shortage of houses of 79,000 properties to a 40,000 home surplus.
Mm-hmm. And
Only
all you need
15%.
to do is reduce it by 15%.
Over 5 years.
Yeah.
15% like this. And do you think that's going to happen, Jason?
Fuck no, because that
No
might make
way.
housing prices go down.
Right? So if you had 40,000 extra homes, supply and demand would say that the housing price would probably go down.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that.
No.
So I've said to people, I've said to people like that want to buy a house, like, sure, it is a great way to secure, like, to buy a real asset.
Yep.
To hedge against inflation. But I'm just saying, don't get a mortgage for it because you're going to get fucked. Like, it's a terrible way to make money. Terrible, terrible, terrible way to make money in today's market.
A lot of people, again, okay, so this is another real world framing thing too, just a lesson for young people that I want them to understand. Australia is pretty unique in the world in that we have flexible interest rates. So what a lot of people don't understand, so in America, they have fixed rates if you get a mortgage. So there are people who bought a house during COVID who have fixed their rate at 1% for 30 years.
Yeah.
In Australia, we don't have that luxury. So we talk about, variable rates. It's a good thing because when the rate goes down, your rate will go down. Yeah, great. But then when the rate goes up, your rate will go back up again. So all we are doing in Australia is securing the bank's profit margin. That's it.
Yeah, you're de-risking the bank.
Yeah, it's for the bank. Can I talk about another one?
And you also pay lender's mortgage insurance.
I was about to bring that one up.
Whatever. It's 15 odd grand that you pay to protect the bank just in case something happens.
Yeah, the hint is in the name, guys. Lender's mortgage insurance, not borrower's mortgage insurance. What lender's mortgage insurance does is it means if you default on the loan and there's negative equity in the property, the insurance pays the bank to make sure they don't lose any money on the property, and you have to pay the loan back.
Yeah, but what's crazier? Who should pay for that policy, Jason?
The bank!
The bank should pay
if
for
you
it,
want to
they
insure
charge you.
No, exactly. Like, again, what a scam. And it was one of the things that was brought in by the government. The government facilitated that. They said if you have less than a 20% deposit, you have to pay lender's mortgage insurance. You have to protect the banks.
And
sorry, just to make the point as an ex-financier, should it not behoove of the banks to only approve people that can actually afford the repayments? Should it not be on them?
That 15 grand LMI is half a year's worth of rent in my rental unit here.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Can we go to that article that I sent you from... Now this was originally an Australian Financial Review article, but as they're behind a paywall, we're going to the Sky News version of it. Because this has got some of the... let me just stick this over here.
Is it
a little
me?
bit.
Do you want me to...
No, it's... Oh, yeah, that's good. No doubt. Okay. Let's have a read through of this. So, debt-funded largesse. Majority of voters depend on government income, new research finds, as public spending hits post-war height. What was the last war that we were officially involved in?
World War Two.
World War Two.
Ended in 1945.
Yeah, so just scroll down. Oh no, don't need to read that little blurb bit. More than half of Australian voters rely on government for most of their income through wages, benefits or subsidies, according to new research by the Centre of Independent Studies. Now, this is really funny because it's cis economist Robert Carling. Do you think he likes being referred to as a cis economist? Isn't he just an economist? So cis economist Robert Carling has warned that such widespread dependence has fueled unsustainable government spending and eroded economic resilience. In a new paper published on Wednesday, Leviathan on the Rampage, Mr. Carling warned that federal spending alone has reached 27.6% of GDP. This was up from 24 to 25% of GDP in 2012-13 and has been fueled by program expansion in social services, defence and debt interest. Now, for long-time listeners of the show, have we not spoken about this stuff constantly over the last 5 years? So this is a special think tank who's come up with this research about shit that anyone who paid attention could have told you over the last 5 years. Federal government program spiral. Mr. Carling's report highlighted that a small group of rapidly expanding programs drive more than 60% of the growth in federal spending since 2012-13. These programs include the National Disability Insurance Scheme, or NDIS, aged care, Medicare, and defence. The NDIS has exceeded the entire federal government's expenditure on defence and will cost taxpayers $52 billion in 2025, compared to $51 billion for the defence budget.
But I don't think that's right. Didn't we pull up? I thought they were on track to already hand out $100 billion on the NDIS. Remember we had the NDIS
I think that
website?
was forward estimates over 4 years. Sorry,
Okay,
3 years. But it was also wrong, clearly.
Yep.
According to the federal budget, 2025-26, the NDIS recorded the second highest annual growth in major payments, behind only interest. It has been projected to cost more than $64 billion by the end of the decade. Meanwhile, the federal budget has been projected to endure a decade of deficits and surge past $1 trillion of debt. So you can just scroll past that. There's all the deficits that are coming. So actually, sorry, just go back to the deficit graph. I just want to highlight the fact that Jim Chalmers literally pulled his cock in front of the press gallery to talk about the surplus that they announced at the last budget reading. So there was a surplus of $15.8 billion. And then every year for the next 5 years after that will be a deficit of $27.6 billion, $42 billion, $35 billion, $37 billion, and $36 billion.
And I just want to... Okay, let's go first principles again. What does this really mean? This means that we are going to spend $30-odd billion more than we take in. So now, unlike us, if we don't have the money to buy something, we can't buy it.
Correct.
The beauty of the government is they just buy it and they do one of two things. They tax you more to try and build that bridge,
which is coming.
But what's more likely that they're going to do, because taxing people is unpopular, they'll just print the money to make up the difference, and all of us will be taxed by stealth because the dollar value will now be worth $30 billion less than it was the year before.
Inflation is a tax on us all.
Yeah.
All right, continue on. Drawing on influential economist Frederick Bastiat's warning that the state is that great fiction by which everyone tries to live at the expense of everyone else, Mr. Carling argues Australia has crossed a tipping point. In quotes, without a determined reset of expectations, Australia risks sliding into a European-style welfare state, slower growth, higher taxes, and a culture where voting for a living replaces working for a living, he said. The honeymoon of debt-funded largesse is over. The CIS report warns that even if current growth in some areas slows, debt interest costs are projected to rise by 9.5% annually over the next decade. Meanwhile, Over $100 billion in off-budget, quote, investments, including energy transition funds and student loan schemes, remain hidden from headline spending figures.
Of course they are, yeah.
So leaked Treasury advice calls for tax hikes. This is what Alex is talking about, right? This is one of the ways you can combat this, is you can tax us more. The findings come just days after leaked Treasury advice revealed the Albanese government has been advised to pursue spending reductions. The independent Treasury said that Treasurer Jim Chalmers would need to find additional revenue and spending reductions to ensure a sustainable budget. Opposition leader Suzanne Ley warned on Tuesday that clearly there is work going on to increase taxes. We know this because of leaked Treasury advice that demonstrates that there will be a plan coming forward to tax Australians more. And I would argue they've already done that with this superannuation tax that we covered on the show a few weeks ago.
Which I don't think's in. They're going to keep trying. It's not in yet. Because I was watching Question Time yesterday.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Okay. They haven't been able to get it through yet. But, okay, so this is what you need to be careful of, though. I wouldn't trust any politician that says that we're going to come in and not raise taxes.
No.
Because their only choice is to inflate the money.
Yeah.
So therefore, like, it sounds good, but it is bad.
Correct.
Now,
which is a lot of these things like that you were saying at the start of the show.
But what you could easily do is find $30 billion worth of government savings.
Correct.
And that's non-inflationary.
Yep.
Okay? So that's what you should do, but they won't do it, especially if your mind or you young people's voters' minds is, no, gimme.
Yeah. And
takey.
Yeah. And the scary thing about this is, so the UK just voted to decrease the voting age to 16.
Yeah, crazy.
Which is insane.
Can't drink, can't fight,
yeah,
but can vote.
Correct. And that's for a reason, and it's because young people are the easiest to manipulate. And the problem is, and I've said this on the show many times before, but I'll say it again, the worse the economy gets, the more attractive socialism becomes.
For sure.
So what you guys need to understand, the Labor government, and this is leftist governments all over the world, and Liberals are just as bad. They're Labor light now, okay? Liberals are not the answer if you're trying to vote differently. Yeah. But Labor governments and leftist governments all over the world are literally entrenching you in servitude for their own political careers. The game plan is very, very simple. Destroy the economy so people are dependent on government handouts, and just be the political party that promises the most handouts. And then they will continue to vote for you forever, regardless of the outcomes. Like, that is where we're getting to. And this, if we keep going, this will tell us a bit more about it. Treasurer defends long-term reform plan. So the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, has defended the government's fiscal plan and said the leaked briefing was not inconsistent with the government's stated priorities. The upcoming economic reform roundtable is all about building consensus on a long-term economic reform with a focus on budget sustainability, he said. Now, just to read between the lines for you, economic reform always means more taxes, just so you're aware. It's an outstanding group of people who we believe will make a big contribution to the future direction of economic reform. While we can't invite representatives from every industry or organisation, everyone has the chance to have their say in this process with online submissions still open.
But so let's go back to first principles again. Okay, yeah. Let's look at, so what has the government already done economically? All they've done is employ non-market people. Yep. Okay, so 60% of all the new jobs that have been generated under Labor work for the government.
Yeah, or are dependent on government handouts, like NDIS support workers.
Yeah,
yeah.
They have all they're trying to do is push new taxes. So the unrealized capital gains one, the one that they're doing on new vehicles.
Yep.
There is no tax reductions.
Yep.
There's talk about upping the money to childcare. Okay.
Yep.
So every time they're going to up money, that means more inflation or a larger deficit.
Any parent would know who has their kids in childcare, whenever the government announces an increase in the childcare subsidy, you'll get an email from your childcare centre saying, we've reviewed our business and we have ascertained that we need to have a modest fee increase, and they just absorb the extra payment.
So with that in mind, what do you think their new reform's going to look like?
It's going to be high taxes, more handouts. It'll be more of the same.
But it's also going to be higher taxes on a smaller and ever shrinking segment of the population. If the only employed section is non-market jobs, how many people are going from market work being the private sector who produce the things, when they go into the non-market sector being government workers who don't produce anything and are funded by everyone. If you extrapolate that on the long term, what does that look like?
So, communism for a start, but it also looks like every wealthy person will leave the country. Because what Alex is saying, like, this is the staggering thing. Those statistics showed 50% of the country is dependent on government handouts at the moment. The government handouts are our tax dollars that we pay in tax, right? Or money that they print or borrow. So we're at a tipping point where 50% of the country is working in the private sector, producing things and paying tax to the government, which is then funding the other 50% of workers. That's unsustainable. That's completely...
That's a Ponzi scheme.
It's an absolute Ponzi scheme.
They've made their own jobs up.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like, so the numbers were, since COVID, 60% of the jobs that were created, because it looks good on a spreadsheet, were non-market jobs, which means government-funded jobs. In the last 2 years, 80% of the jobs that were produced were non-market jobs. And everyone's, like, you guys have seen all the news stories about all these builders which are going under, like the rates of bankruptcies is increasing at a rate of knots, especially for small businesses. Like, small business literally used to be the lifeblood of this country because they employed a lot of people in market jobs which paid taxes, produced things, built the country, built the tax base. And it used to be like, and Alex will remember this, 10, 15 years ago, it literally used to be, if you wanted a secure paycheck, go and work for the government, but you'll earn a lot less. If you wanted to back yourself and your skills to earn as much money as you can, go and work in the private sector and you'll be able to earn a lot more. The problem is, in the last 10 or 15 years, the government has been paying the same, if not more, in a lot of sectors to work for them that you could get in the private sector. So what do you think that's done? All that's done is pulled the good producers out of the private sector, and instead of them being a net positive on the economy and especially on our taxation burden, they become a net negative, because instead of creating taxation, they suck the taxes out of the government.
And people will argue, oh, well, they pay taxes too. Yeah, but so a government worker on 100 grand may pay 30 grand in tax, but where did the 70 grand go?
Dude, it's like when, like,
I really want to lock onto that.
Yeah, cool.
Because I don't think people think about it like that. So, they earn $100,000. They pay $30,000. We're just using round numbers.
Yep.
$30,000 worth of tax. But where does the 70 grand come from? It can't come from the next guy, government worker, because he's on the same.
This goes deal to infinity.
It has to come from the private worker who generated $100,000 worth of actual value.
Yeah.
But you need 3 of those people to pay that one guy 70 grand.
Correct. And this is the thing too, right? Not everyone, a lot of young people have this anti-billionaire, anti-CEO, anti-entrepreneur, anti-business owner mindset, because we hear the stories every day. And again, this is by design. This is to poison your mind to make you more pro-government. You hear the stories about all these giant corporations in this country and how they don't pay any tax. Like, how dare they don't pay any tax? Okay, consider this. Using the same numbers as Alex just used. Let's say you've got a mining company, and the mining company employs 10,000 employees, and it pays every single one of those employees $100,000. $30,000 from each of those 10,000 employees gets paid to the government coffers in tax. So yeah, okay, maybe the mining company itself uses all the accounting tricks to reduce its tax burden, which everyone should do. Sure. Everyone should do, because we also know the government's wasting half that money anyway.
Yep.
But that 10,000 employees, which is making their own money from creating something in the economy, pays $30,000 into the government coffers. So the business itself provides tax dollars into the government coffers. But this tagline that you hear all the time is that the person who owns the company didn't pay any tax last year. Who gives a fuck? What is the total tax generated from that business? It's huge. And I can tell you right now, it's a lot more than any government worker. It's a lot more than any politician. Like, Albanese's on $500,000 a year of your money. Like, he doesn't produce anything. He gets paid by you. Does he work for you? Fuck no. He's not doing anything to benefit you, but he's taking $500,000 a year out of the tax pool. So if you wanna aim your anger at someone, don't do it at the private business owner. Like, and okay, this is the other thing that young people need to understand. What does capitalism actually mean? Capitalism means someone, an individual, a private citizen, risking their own capital to try to make something bigger than themselves, to risk their own capital to make more money.
To offer more value,
correct,
to their clients than it costs them.
That's what capitalism is. So if you've got a mining company, like, you have taken a giant financial risk to start that company, to run that company. If, like, you know, if the fucking iron ore price goes the wrong way, you might be in big shit and you might go bankrupt personally. But that's what capitalism is. It's risking your own capital. The problem is, our government has removed a lot of these capitalist principles because of subsidies. So you brought up childcare subsidy before. There's no capitalists opening a childcare centre anymore because it's almost entirely government funded through the childcare subsidy.
Well, no. There's crony capitalists that are investing in childcare centres because they know they get a guaranteed return because it's government backed.
Absolutely. And who was one of those people who invested in a lot of childcare centres? Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton made a lot of money from childcare centres because he knew that he was going to help make the decisions to increase the funding to those centres. That's crony capitalism. That's the bad one. That's the one you don't want. That's the one where the government keeps handing out all these renewable energy subsidies to their mates like Twiggy Forrest for them to just not actually provide anything of value to the economy because, hey, since we've been handing out all these renewable subsidies, have your energy prices gone down? Of course not. They've gone through the roof. They just went up by 20% again this year. So
doubled.
Yeah, and again, so that's crony capitalism. But you should not hate someone. Like Alex is a perfect example. Alex is risking his own capital, his own money, to start Auto Bros, to start HODL, to start all the companies that he's doing. It's his own money. So even during COVID, when he started his small business and the government said, hey, we're going to stimulate the economy, we're going to get the banks to hand out these small business loans to help people improve things and get the economy moving again. And Alex went to apply for one, and they said, no, we're not doing that. Like, the banks said no. So it's all his own money. It's
and
all
also,
his own
too,
capital.
When my business goes bad, because, you know, a car business is very capital intensive, so there's a lot of money in it. When I lose, the government still gets paid.
Correct. Absolutely.
So, like, I could make a loss in a month, but still got to pay GST.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And look, I wanna really.
And on every car sale, more than half of the profit goes to the government.
Yeah. Correct. But
even though it's all my capital, they gave me nothing.
I really want to focus on the mindsets of young people because, okay, so another thing that I've seen a lot in the zeitgeist lately is about this superannuation tax, a tax on unrealized gains. And all of these young, emotional people saying things like, superannuation was only ever supposed to be about supporting retirement. It's not supposed to be a nest egg for your children. I'm telling you right now, every single one of you who either has children or wants to have children should be hoping to pass on some form of a nest egg to your kids to help improve their lives. Every parent wants their child's life to be better than what theirs was and what their parents' was. It's supposed to be about improvement over time. But here's the kicker. If you want people to, like, you know, if the argument is they're using superannuation as a tax dodge, but meanwhile those people, because they have too much money, aren't receiving the aged pension, that's a net positive for the taxpayer.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Right? It's supposed to be. So if you've got wealthy people passing on that wealth to their children, funding their children's retirement, that's a net positive for the taxpayer. But they're psyoping you into your own demise. Every 18-year-old who is entering the workforce today will have more than $3 million in their super by the time they retire. And if they do, every single year, the additional amount above your $3 million will be taxed. Every year.
Whether you've sold it or not.
Whether you have realized those gains or not. So they are psyoping you with this emotive wording about these. Like, guess what? Don't blame the boomers. The boomers did what you're doing now. The boomers voted in their best interest. And I can tell you right now, no boomer realized 30, 40, 50 years ago that the decisions that they made would end up being at the expense of the coming generations. They didn't know. Yeah. The boomers didn't realize that the only reason why they are the luckiest generation in Australian history is because they were born around the time that the world moved away from the gold standard. Therefore, they lived a life based on fake printed money. They didn't fucking know that. Right? The majority of them didn't know that. A lot of the politicians did, who helped facilitate these decisions. They knew. They didn't tell you about it at the time. But the average boomer didn't know that. So they don't know the difference. Don't hate them. That is the psyop. You shouldn't be hating those people. You should be hating the people who are in the government right now, making the decisions right now that are making your life worse.
And get smart and vote for things in your self-interest.
Correct.
And I'll give you the tip. You getting a payment you think is good, but it is bad.
It is bad. It's always bad. Okay, here's another one. So let's talk about the Aboriginal industry in Australia. And as soon as you bring it up, people go, "You're racist." No, I'm not. And I'll tell you why. I believe that as we are all Australians, if you live in this country and you're an Australian citizen, at least, you're all Australians. I don't care what colour you are. Look at all of our national sports teams. They're various shades of brown now, right? They're dominated by internationals who've moved here, become Australians. They've got the same accents and everything. But here's what I do believe. I don't pity Aboriginal people. I believe Aboriginal people are just as capable as everyone else. Yeah. And they, so my children, right? I've got 2 young kids. At the moment, I pay my kids' way through life because they are too young to understand. They can't get a job. Legally, they can't go and work. One of them's only 5. He wouldn't have a fucking clue what to do, right? So I'm paying his way through life. At the same time, it is my job as a father to educate my kids on how to take care of themselves and how to work for a living when they are older. And when you do that, when you work for what you receive, do you know what else you receive? Dignity, respect. Yeah. So if you keep thinking that the best way to help Aboriginal or Indigenous people in this country is to give them fucking handouts, zero dignity, and all your pity, you're the fucking problem.
I can give you an example of this, and I'm so glad that you brought it up because I had forgotten about it. This only happened last weekend or the weekend before. I was having a coffee, and there's a homeless guy that walks up and down the street with a trolley, and I think he delivers pumpkins. He's often got big pumpkins in there, and I don't know where he's delivering to, but it could take him half the day to get from, right? And you just see him around. I'm having a coffee out the front. This girl obviously means well, goes to her car, pulls out $20 cash, walks up to him to try to give him $20.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear what he said, but he didn't accept the $20.
Good on him.
He's a homeless guy,
yeah.
And he, if I had to assume, he's like, no, this is my, I don't need it.
Yeah, this is my gig. I'm good.
How, that is the definition of thing. I don't need your help.
Yeah.
I'm looking after me. This is my, whatever he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
But he's
selling gemstones.
She thinks she's doing the right thing, and it was a nice gesture. Of course, right? But that guy showed the definition of personal dignity.
And the problem is, too, with the mentality that she displayed, is that empathy, it makes you ripe for being taken advantage of.
Oh, for sure.
So I'll give you another example. In 2016, I was in America with my wife, and we were traveling around, and we were on the subway at one point. And there was this crackhead on the subway with an open wound on his leg, bleeding everywhere, wailing, saying that he was trying to get to a hospital, but because of the medical system in America, he didn't have any money. He just needed some money. And my wife's first response was, I'm going to give this guy some money. And I grabbed it and I said, don't. He's using it to buy drugs. The dude's clearly a crackhead. So you going and giving him money, you think is helping. You think it's the right thing to do. But what you're really doing is you are helping him get more drugs and make things worse. Don't give him the money. So, like, this is one of these mentality reframing things. So I remember when I was 19, 20 years old, I moved out into the house that you mentioned previously in the show. Because Alex had his big boy pants on, he bought a house, and I decided it was time to get out of the house, so I moved out, about 19. And about a year or so later, because I'm a young, dumb kid, don't know how finances work, don't know how money work, I was broke. But I was working 2 jobs. So I was working a day job, and I used to deliver pizzas for the old man's pizza shop at night time. So I worked 2 jobs, 5-6 days a week, to try to make ends meet. And I was still broke because I was making some bad decisions. I dated a dud of a girlfriend who wasted money on a lot of things. And this was all a big learning experience at the time. And I remember my parents said to me, they gave me the offer, hey, you can move back in with us. Like, we know you're struggling financially, we can see you working really hard, but you can move back in with us. And for some reason, I don't know if it's something that my parents had done in how they brought me up, or if it was a personal thing or whatever. For some reason, I said, no, I just need to figure this out. I don't want your help. I need to make this on my own. And I think a lot of that comes from our father. So our father, he's an immigrant. Ooh, kick him out of the country. Kick him out. He's an immigrant.
He's not built a house.
Yeah, he hasn't. All he's done is buy houses since he got
no, to be fair, did they build...
He did work on a building site at one point, yeah.
No, but did they build the south side one?
No, they did renovations on it.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, has he built more houses than he has lived in? No, he has not. These bloody immigrants. Yeah. But so he left home when he was quite young. He travelled all over the world, and he just made it happen. And you got to think that this was back in a time. This was pre-internet, so he literally travelled all over the world, going to places that you would think are too dangerous to go now, and just rocking up and figuring it out as you went. And I think a lot of that mentality got passed on to Alex and I, and we're very, very thankful for that. But this is the thing, right? So at 19 years old, I was broke even though I was working 2 jobs, but my mentality at the time was, this hurts now, it's not going to hurt forever, I've just got to figure it out, and I've got to work my own way out of this. So I'm going to ask you young people today, your 19 to 25-year-olds, is that your mentality when it comes? Because I acknowledge financially things are the worst now for that generation coming of age, so becoming 18 or older and joining the workforce. It is the worst it has ever been in Australia for someone to enter the workforce and try to live and try to survive. I acknowledge that. But here's the other thing that I tell people all the time. The cards you've been dealt are the cards that you've been dealt. And you have 2 options. You can either play them to the best of your ability, or you can fold. That's it. Those are the only 2 options you have. So yes, the odds are stacked against you. I empathize with that. But the only person who can beat the odds is you. And you're not going to beat the odds through government handouts. You're going to beat the odds through education and hard work. That's how you beat the odds. Get out there and do some shit. Don't whinge and sit at home and go, there's people who I guarantee will be listening to the show right now who are sitting at home in their parents' house because they haven't moved out yet, because they can't afford to, who are still getting government payments. What the fuck are you whinging about? And I listened to another PBD podcast yesterday. And there was at one point when they brought up, there was a viral video that went viral. I'm not going to go into it, but it was basically a black dude put a video up online where he got assaulted by a police officer, and it went super viral and everyone was totally anti-police. And anyway, then the police released the body cam footage and it told a very, very different story, right? And it was one of these viral moments. And one of the guys on the panel was saying about how they empathize with this black kid because of how he's been socialized and how he might have felt too intimidated to follow the police's instructions or to get out of the car or do the things that he probably should have done. And just as a lesson for any of you out there, if the police are asking you to do something, just comply. Very simple. Yeah. Just comply. And PBD went off and was like, No, I don't. That's not okay to just say, oh, I get it because of his fucking... No, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Guess what? If your circumstances dictate to you that you have to make shit decisions, then the people around you are destroying your life. And if your circumstances have you sitting around with all of your friends who are in your early 20s, whinging about how hard things are, but you're not doing anything to fix that for yourself, then you need to get better friends. You need to get better educated. The only person who will save you is you. That's it. So we talked about this during COVID. Everyone sat at home waiting for the government to save the fucking day.
Yeah.
And as we just previously covered, the government made everything exponentially worse. They aren't going to save you. No one's going to save you. The only person who can save you is you. That's it. That's the lesson.
Totally.
So pull yourself up by your bootstraps and fucking get to work. And work might be work. Work might be education. Work might
Education, I think, is a big part.
Totally.
Learn about first principles. Learn about the fundamentals of the things that you're debating in your life. Like, it's amazing how many times I talk to people that are trying to make big decisions and they've never even written them down. You know, like they start to get emotionally charged by these things. I'm like, write a pros and cons list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like run some practical analysis on these things, but it's not considered. Understand the difference between indoctrination, religion, dogma to reality. Like, get in. Do you know what I mean? Like get in, work it out. The answers are there.
Yeah.
The answers are there. There is an answer to every problem.
And you need to understand.
But Jason's right, and I want to say, if you are relying on if you think the government's going to fix your problems, it is guaranteed destruction.
Totally. And like a lot of the barriers between you and doing the thing that you really, really want to do, they don't exist. You know, you can actually just go out and do things. Like, give them a try. Like I saw another reel, and it was quite interesting this week about someone. If you get an ant, put them on a piece of paper, and you just draw a circle around them, the ant will get to where the circle is, and it will not step over the circle.
Yeah.
And then they did the same thing with a spider, slightly bigger. And at one point, the spider accidentally, like it wouldn't go outside the circle, but then one time it accidentally stepped over the circle, and immediately from that point, you could never trap it with a circle ever again because it realized that barrier was a figment of its imagination.
Totally.
So you guys need to understand that too. So like, I mean, Alex went through this when he started his business, right? He had all the naysayers around him. Oh, don't leave. You're on a big income. You're on a good wicket. Like, why would you go and risk all of that? Like, 50% of businesses fail in the first year. Risk, naysay. Are you happy you did it?
Yeah. Best thing I've ever done.
Was it anywhere near as difficult to get started as you thought it was going to be before you did it?
No. The gravity of the mental decision was far more taxing than the job itself.
Correct. Because that was the circle that is...
Totally.
And, I'm telling you guys, that circle is written around every single one of us in Australia from a very early age. We have this problem in this country, which I've only come to realize how toxic it is as an older man, with tall poppy syndrome. Tall poppy syndrome is toxic. So in Australia, when someone is a high achiever, we want to tear them down to the same level as us. It is literally the slave mentality that built this country, right? The convicts were brought here, literal prisoners were brought here and built this country that we enjoy today. But that slave mentality still exists. You should celebrate when people break out of the matrix, right? In America, they do. It's the polar opposite. Americans love success stories. They're not envious of those success stories because what those success stories tell them is, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. Mm-hmm. And that's the mentality that I'm trying to raise my kids with, and that's the mentality that I want to really come out of this podcast. Like, if you want to do something, just do it. I believe that you are far more capable than you even think you are. Totally. Right? Just do it. And I'm telling you again, this is another message to the audience. If you find yourself resenting people in your circle for having success, check yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Get rid of that mentality. Celebrate their successes. Big up them. Be their biggest cheer squad. Because they deserve it. Because they probably worked their ass off for it.
A challenge is like, I would ring one of those people and tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, tell them,
That should
I'm
be
so
challenge,
impressed. Like, congratulations, man. Like, I'm so pumped with what you've done. Because, again, as a society, you have to question, like Alex was saying, map it out over time. So, what direction does Australia go with the tall poppy syndrome mentality, as opposed to America going where they celebrate success? Which one of those do you think leads to a better country in 20 years' time?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a great way to think about it.
Right.
We'll leave it there.
Thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we will see y'all next week.